This is Outnumbered. I'm Andrea Tantaros, and here with us today, Harris Faulkner, host of The Independent on our sister network, Fox Business's Kennedy, also from Fox Business, EMAC herself, Elizabeth McDonald, 3 FBN people and 2 Fox News people. Harris, you and I are outnumbered.
Yeah, exactly, but in a fantastic way.
You know, we like on Wall Street how we like to do it. We like, hey, though.
But it's confusing, though, because you're wearing a flower, and that
you to be hostile.
No.
Thanks for
occasionally
being here.
In Twitterland, but yeah, thank you. I'm really excited
we're
to be here.
excited to have you.
Yeah.
We got a lot going on.
Yes, we do. Speaking of that, we are.
Or, you know, why the Muslim faith says if you leave the Muslim faith, then you could be facing execution.
It's intellectual terrorism if people are bullied to the point.
About what we just saw. So Josh Earnest, the
Probably no doubt, yeah.
Meanwhile, the satirical.
You know what? I think it's a beautiful cover. It's very cheers and stay defiant against all these threats.
You know, Liz, I want to follow up on something you said a few minutes ago. You said this gives an opportunity. You know, we've cited concerns about safety and staff members and the sensitivity about Muslim audiences. I'm not going to call out, you know, all of the media outlets that have chosen not to show the picture because that would take some time. But what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I have to, full disclosure, I worked at the Wall Street Journal. I'm saying essentially, you know, if you're going to deliver a vote, you got to put your stand where you stand on climate change. Do you think that'll work?
I don't. There's a number of Democrats who are going to be in favor of this Keystone Pipeline bill. I believe that they need 6. But President Obama is part of that Bernie Sanders camp that makes everything about climate change. And that's what's stopping this whole process, the environmentalists and fear of retaliation. They also dumped a lot of money into those races this last election. So President Obama and the administration owes them, despite the fact, Liz, that his own EPA said we can't see any environmental issues with going forward with Keystone.
And that's right. And, you know, to Andrea's point, Charles, it's analytical malpractice. They don't give any analysis on how they arrived at just 35 jobs, right? There's nothing in there. And by the way, the other pipelines, there's even 1 job being created. Go ahead.
But that's what Americans are more interested in.
Wait, to your point, nothing drives people to the brink of insanity at the pump than seeing the price go up. But Harris, you know what really is missing in this debate I'm seeing is that jobs collapse there, right? And there's no talk about how there was 0 job creation. I would
for the
Just
president
before
to
we
say
wrap
that
it up,
this is a
though,
bipartisan issue.
We need the people watching the show to understand this. Take natural gas, turn it into liquid.
University students who haven't graduated actually with a degree yet, journalism students, to see if their news gathering skills are up to par, because that's probably where you want to be vetted, right, by people who don't
Well,
quite
if you're
have
Rolling
a degree
Stone,
yet.
that's got a little bit of skin in the game. Let's ask them.
Yeah, they want to get a degree.
This is Rolling Stone's Jason Blake.
For her in
Or to
particular,
piece the crash.
The reporter called her a hookup queen, and that got her really mad. She said, I'm not a hookup queen. You called me that in the story. What do you...
The university and all of the fraternities and sororities who were all suspended because of this story.
You know, ultimately, guys, there's a giant group of institutions and individuals who stand and they keep pushing it and they keep pushing it. And of course, we see it all the time with other areas. But I
see it in the Muslim faith, and you see what's going on with the administration. The
campus is right. This isn't just the fraternity. I'm sure on the UVA campus, the boys that were involved in this that have not been rectified or had their names cleared, Harris, they're probably being pointed at on campus. I mean, this is a pretty big reputational management issue for these kids.
Yeah, that's
Just point fraternity. Are they victims too? I mean, their fraternity was reinstated, but they haven't been tried. They haven't had their day. I mean,
well, they were tried in the public.
They were tried in the court of public opinion. But what about their reputations? And, you know, UVA is a state school, so I would imagine there's a lot of due process violations here. I think that they probably have a pretty good case that they can say to UVA, you need to tell us why you took our fraternity off campus and why you trashed our reputation.
Although most of them might just want this to go away.
So
or and against Rolling Stone, perhaps, too.
Liz, there's more, too, with regard to the fraternity.
High-profile women. I mean, even that, I guess the idea is that no matter how high in America, they're still told to be quiet and shut up. Do you think that's the message here, Kennedy?
Guess so, Charles.
Okay. By the way,
actually, in the article,
great evaluation.
In the article, what it talked about, and I still want to meet Sheryl Sandberg.
That women fear that they're going to be labeled the B word, or they're going to be labeled a diva or something else. So they try and keep their thoughts in. I agree with Harris, though. I mean, that was my tactic in my 20s. A lot of political campaigns, especially in New York, that I worked on were mostly men. I was the only woman at the table. And I gained more credibility by watching the guys do what they wanted to do and then fall on their face. I would make my suggestion, but then they'd come around and I'd offer my suggestion after theirs had failed or after I had offered the first suggestion, which we should have done. So sometimes you do speak very loudly in your silence. However, most women who are truly successful are never afraid to open their mouth, and I'm one of them. But I don't do it all the time. But when I do it, you know I mean it.
Right.
Emacs like that too.
Yeah,
Right.
you are.
Well,
Love it.
I'm a
The
Kennedy.
shrinking flower, the shrinking violet.
Oh yeah, I have nothing to say about this. Right.
Right.
No, I'm kidding. No, you know, it's about not. They're just not used to, you know, behaving as
That's
boys
more
did
risk
growing up.
aversion. You know,
That's
because
very
men have to take risks to, you know.
To call someone up that never met you before and say, "Hey, Bob, I'm Pete down at Wall Street. Send me some money."
Yeah,
You
but
know,
then that actually contradicts the argument of the feminist movement, where women were constantly told no, and that was the whole reason for fighting for women's rights, because we were told no. So I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but I do think that women. That's why the Sheryl Sandberg ban bossy thing, I never quite bought it, because someone like Sheryl Sandberg
can't have it both
or
ways.
somebody like Beyonce, these are women who don't care if they're called bossy.
Oh, that's interesting.
They don't care. If you're going to be a successful, strong woman, names don't matter
right.
to you. You just
How
keep
come all
charging.
Don't go. So glad you're back. Have you ever misplaced your phone? I have this morning. It's a horrible feeling. You can't find it anywhere, and all of a sudden, panic ensues, and then you get a little sweaty. You're not alone. I'm right there with you. New study shows that people separated from their smartphones can suffer serious psychological and physiological effects. Researchers had participants do a simple word search while placing their phones further and further away. And when users weren't able to answer their ringing phone, their heart rate and blood pressure shot up, and their performance decreased. Charles, you are a man with your mind on your money and your.
And I owe her an apology, because apparently there's some science
call her
behind
names?
what's happening.
Did you call her names?
I didn't call her names, but she looked at me and she goes, "You don't understand." And her head started to spin. She grew like alien here.
Did she not have a passcode on it and some naked
You know what?
selfies
Her
in there,
phone
or
was
what?
on silent. And so, I guess you should leave it on vibrate. I don't know.
Isn't
but
it
we could
amazing
not
we have a
find her
stronger
phone.
relationship with their phone than with their significant other? And I think men freak out more
Oh, that's
than women.
sad.
Why?
I think men just freak out more than women when they lose their phone, right, Charles?
I don't
you
know. I think
Oh,
the
what's
women
on
do.
it?
I think the women do. See,
You're
I think my
outnumbered.
wife is on the phone more than I am, at least for fun,
trying to get a
pleasurable.
But Kennedy, you did sort of freak out a little bit during the commercial break when you couldn't find your phone.
Yeah, I can't find my phone. I was like rifling through my
You
bag.
still can't find it
People
right
were
now.
checking in other rooms. We're tethered to the couch with our electronic equipment, and I'm like, this is great and fun, and I love talking to my friends. But where's my phone?
Yeah, I know. You've got a live show going on, but you need your phone. Right? Did
Kennedy's
you find
in
it?
withdrawals right now.
I am. I'm like,
you
I'm
can
like
hold
Leonardo
mine for a little
DiCaprio
while.
in Basketball Diaries.
Kennedy, you want to hold mine
This is
just
so-
until
This is this is such a dichotomy, though, because I've also read that psychologists say that we need to unplug.
That is
Right?
true.
So they say that we're in information overload. So
Okay.
how do
Yeah,
you
right.
do both? How do you take
I
a
don't know.
step
I want to
away?
plug in for a little while and unplug when I choose. When it's of my choosing, we will be fine. All right, we are staying right here for Outnumbered Overtime on the web. It's foxnews.com/outnumbered. Just click on the Overtime tab. We will certainly be here. And we'll be back on TV tomorrow at noon Eastern. Good news for you. Happening now starts right now.